Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on healthy reproductive practices in dog breeding. It is an honor for me to welcome our speaker for today, not only because she is a very renowned veterinary gynecologist in India, I think everyone knows her, specialized in canine and feline reproduction, but also because it has been my privilege to be her student during my undergraduate days in Bombay Veterinary College. Dr. Sarita Gulavane had introduced and established ultrasonography in Maharashtra. She has standardized pregnancy diagnostics and fetometry. She has been working on small animal fetometry, small animal infertility management since 1993 after a short training at the Department of Small Animal Endoscopy and Gynecology at Utrecht in Holland. She set up a modernized small animal fertility management setup, modified the technique of artificial insemination in dogs, which is achieving now a success rate of more than 85%. Her list of awards includes the Salute Mumbai Award for her work on stray dog population control, Best Lady Vet Award by the ASPCA in 2010, Pathbreaker Award in 2013 by Positive Initiative. Dr. Gulavne is currently working on color Doppler studies in canine and feline by ultrasound and canine and feline pregnancy and survivability of fetuses post-birth by the APGAR scoring method, which she will be telling us about during her presentation today. So I know everyone is very eager to hear from her. Um, at the end of the presentation, we will take questions and answers. You can type out your questions in the chat box, and at the end, we will be putting the questions to Dr. Gulavne. So make the most of it. You will get a lot of information from her. So without further ado, let's start with the presentation.
Should I start, Dr. Freya?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Freya, for introducing me to everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Without a delay, I would start with my lecture. Okay, so before we start the breeding in canine, the first most important thing is selecting a breeding pair. It involves selection of a male as well as female dog for the breeding. Now, most of the time in India, we find that people have a personal interest in one particular male or one particular female. But reality speaking, the most important checks you require is whether these both breeding pair, male as well as female, are free of genetic diseases which can be transmitted from one generation to other. To give you simple example, which is most rampant, is hip dysplasia. So such diseases where are present in the male and female breeding pair, if it is there, then they should be discarded from the breeding program. Also, retained testes, single retained testes or both retained testes are there. They can be also transmitted through breeding to next generation. So such pairs should not be allowed to breed. The next important thing is venereal diseases. There are diseases like herpes, brucella, which are infectious. The infection can transfer from male to female or female to male, causing major problems in fertility. So you have to see to it that your dog's breeding pair is free of these venereal diseases. Then next, after you evaluate these two things, then next we go is for fertility evaluation. In case of male dogs, the fertility evaluation includes semen collection, which tells us whether the dog is able to donate the semen sample, because some dogs have infertility where they are unable to donate the semen sample due to some problems. The second stage involves evaluation of the semen, where the quality of the semen, whether it is fertile or not, should be evaluated. After the male is evaluation is over, then the female evaluation. In female evaluation, there are three steps which are involved. Now, in female, whatever the stages are involved, that I will explain after this slide. Now, the first question that everybody asks me is when to breed my male or female dog. Now, when it comes to the age, the 18 months is minimum. You should wait for breeding your male and female pair. However, sometimes it is ideal to wait for the third estrus cycle of the female animal before you breed her, because there is something known as puberty and sexual maturity. The puberty is age at which the female gets the first estrus or the first bleeding. However, the optimum fertility is achieved after two cycles, that is in third cycle, when the fertility is at its best level. So ideally you should be starting from third cycle, or if the third cycle is earlier, then you should wait for 18 months. Then in case of male animal also 18 months. The next question is asked is frequency of mating. Now the male can be easily bred at least 2 to 3 times a week, but there are some breeders who mate their males every day or sometimes even twice in a day. But ideally speaking, if you want to maintain the fertility of male for a long term, if you are looking want to reap the benefits of mating the males in a long term, there should not be more than 2 to 3 matings per week, ideally speaking. In case of female dog, age I've already spoken. The cycle stage is usually decided when to breed by three different methods, which I'll be explaining in next slide. Now, the other question asked is what is the frequency of litter? Ideally, you should be having 1 liter a year. Some people prefer to take 2 liters a year. So, so before you prepare the female for breeding, the deworming, you should see to it that the female is dewormed as soon as the heat cycle starts. The vaccination should be optimum, because if the female has is vaccinated every year as a routine vaccination is done, then the immunity from the mother is transferred to her puppies through her milk, so that colostrum and milk. So the vaccination has to be updated very regularly, because once the female is bred, you cannot vaccinate her till she parturates. So you should confirm that beforehand that her vaccination is updated. The general health of the female should be good. Some people can do, if you are doubting it, then you should get a routine blood work done. The hemoglobin value should be good. The tick fevers are very rampant. I see it in pregnant dogs also. So you should be keeping your dog free of ticks and see to it that there is no low hemoglobin and platelet counts are not low before you decide to breed the female animal. Okay, now when it comes to female animal, the gynecological evaluation involves three stages. First is vaginal cytological examination, where we take the sample from vagina, stain it and see it under microscope. Next is a hormonal assay, where we estimate certain hormones from the blood. And third, in case there is a previous history of abortions or infertility where the female has not remained pregnant, ideally we want to do the culture of the vaginal discharges and see that if there are any bacterial load in the vaginal discharges. I would like to emphasize one point, that the vaginal discharges will definitely give you multiple organisms, which is natural. But if there is one singular organism, then only we consider it as an infection. Otherwise, vaginal discharges are likely to give multiple organisms in any culture. Now, this is how you prepare the slide. We take the earbud or a long earbud kind of thing, and which is inserted in vagina. We touch the vaginal mucous membrane and take it out, and then the prepare slide. So it is a very simple procedure, doesn't cause any pain. The next step I do is usually do per vaginal examination, because in per vaginal examination we come to know many things, whether the female has a narrow passage, whether there is any growths inside, or if there is a stricture, a tight stricture inside, which Many a times such females don't allow the natural mating. So we come to know many things with simple slide preparation. One, and second is per vaginal examination. Now, once we see the slide under the microscope, we see certain cells, and depending on the cell pattern, we advise mating. But if you want to make it very accurate, much more accurate, cytology may not be the, and then decide it is the right time to collect the blood sample and then do the serum assay. Now, many a times breeders on their own are doing serum assay randomly. However, then you will have to do multiple assays. When we see the slide and come to, hello, I'm getting the message that my voice is breaking. I hope everybody is able to hear me
Yeah, now it
because
is.
I have a full net. Yes, because I have a full network. So, okay. So, when some breeders prefer to do the progesterone assay on their own, but they will have to do multiple assays till the actual level is reached. When we combine it with cytology, we usually get the much closer window to decide when to do the serum assay. Okay, now once we decide the right time, what are the different methods you can breed your dog? One is natural mating, and second is artificial insemination. Now, natural not mate their dogs naturally, but many a times what we find. So many a times when people come to us for artificial insemination, lot of time is lost in between because they keep on trying for natural mating and then come for artificial insemination. So sometimes the time is already lost. However, uh, if you have faced such problems in previous breeding, then ideally so basically, so the artificial insemination, since there is no direct contact or male and female animal, the tick transmission, the other things that can be transmitted can be avoided. So there are advantages, lot of advantages of artificial insemination over natural mating. However, for an artificial insemination, you will require the technique, people who are technically trained to carry out artificial insemination. Okay, what is the simple? The artificial insemination is fairly simple. People are worried that there is pain. Absolutely no painful. We collect you, on your left side of the screen. You can see a cone and a test tube. We just collect the semen sample by hand massage method in the male dog. We evaluate the semen sample, and through specialized catheter, it is passed in the vagina of the female dog. See, the most important thing in getting the success in artificial fertile semen sample with a good motility and less abnormalities is the key to getting. And the third step is depositing the semen sample in the right important steps of artificial insemination. Depositing the semen in the right important steps of artificial insemination, which leads to good fertility. The next stage is now knowing when my dog is pregnant or not. How do you know my dog is pregnant? And there are three methods in usually we decide whether your dog is pregnant or not. One is abdominal palpation, one is next is ultrasound and X-ray. Abdominal palpation is doesn't require any instrumentation. It is fairly accurate in thin dogs and small dogs because the thin dogs and small dogs allow you to palpate their abdomen very easily. However, it is accuracy is very limited up to 28 to 38 day, after which the accuracy reduces because the uterus becomes too big and you are not able to really say whether it is only pus accumulation in the uterus or there are fetuses or not. There is no cost involved other than veterinarian cost. However, you cannot judge the fetal viability and the accuracy is very poor after 35 days, between 35 to 45 50 days. After 50 days, again, you can do abdominal palpation and feel the fetuses. The next method is ultrasound. Of course, it is one of the best methods. It can give you, tell you the accuracy of pregnancy right from the day 22, but I would usually prefer to do it after 25 to 28 days. The second most important thing, it tells you about whether the fetuses are live or not right from the day 22 onwards. uh, it gives you extra information about the fetal age, why it is important. Many times the meetings are done randomly without having any progesterone assay. So we are not sure about the LH surge, we are not sure about the right time, whether the ovulation has, when the ovulation has taken place. Remember, in canines, the parturition date is 65 plus minus 1 day from LH surge. And if we know the LH surge depending on the hormonal assay, then we know exactly when the bitch is likely to parturiate. However, if the mating is done randomly, if it is 5 days before the LH surge and sometimes 5 days after the LH surge, your days are going to be wrong. Many times, depending only on the mating dates, people come to me saying she is over 69 days and has not parturited. Really speaking, it is only 65 days from the LH surge, or vice versa. She has parturited early on 59 day. It could be 65th day from the LH surge, because bitch starts accepting the male 5 days before the ovulation and keeps on accepting 3 to 4 days after the ovulation as well. So we wouldn't know. So, but ultrasound offers us the right aging of the fetus, which gives us a good window to understand when the bitch is about to parturiate. Of course, the most important thing is cost involved. The machine can cost you anything beyond 6 lakhs, and there are machines which are costing you, a very good machine will cost you 12 lakhs also. The man behind the machine is the most important. Machine cost and the man behind machine, so it's costly technique. The third method we follow is a X-ray. Of course, I forgot to mention in ultrasound. Ultrasound is extremely bad to tell you about the litter size. In early stage of pregnancy, around day 28, you at least 28, 30, you can say litter size reasonable accurately. But as you go beyond that stage, the litter size accuracy is very poor. X-rays, you will have to wait for 50 days plus to get the X-ray done to know whether the bitch is pregnant or not. By that time, you're actually able to palpate the fetuses from outside. However, X-ray is a very good indicator of the fetal number. But in X-ray also, if the number is more like 11, 12 plus, then you will not be able to calculate the number more accurately. There can be gathering of fetuses in abdomen. The fetal viability, again, X-ray doesn't tell you very easily. The cost is compared to ultrasound is much more moderate compared to ultrasound. So both techniques have their advantages and disadvantages. So what do I feed my pregnant bitch? That is the question asked by many people. Pregnant bitches need to be fed. Once you know the bitch is pregnant, usually what is the tendency is to start feeding extra carbs, extra proteins, extra minerals as soon as you meet the dog. Ideally speaking, you should not be doing it because you really don't know whether your bitch is pregnant or not. Before pregnancy, only when you're preparing your bitch for the pregnancy, you should be deworming and giving them the good amount of mineral supplementation, protein, and carbs. But extra on and above the maintenance requirement should not be given as soon as you breed the dog. Confirm your dog is pregnant. The extra protein minerals requirement starts only after day 35 when the fetuses are growing bigger. So before day 35, there is really no need of extra minerals or proteins or carbohydrates. Ideally speaking, because we have enough dog foods in the market, puppy food or a starter food should be given to a bitch, which is very good in protein source as well as carbohydrate source and calcium and mineral sources. Many people tend to feed the starter food in advance. That is wrong. Even if you start it after day 35, many people feed extra calcium on top of it. But remember, the starter food has enough calcium to give mother as well as puppies. So you don't have to feed them extra. The second question asks, can you exercise? Can I exercise my pregnant bitch? Of course, you should exercise as a routine. In advanced gestation, the bitch herself will refuse to walk too much because they are heavily loaded. That is the time you should make them walk, but don't make them run, or routine walks are absolutely all right. They need that exercise to build the muscles so that during parturition they are not too obese, which also sometimes can lead to dystocia or difficult birth. Okay, so these points I have already covered. So let's go to the next, please. Now, next stage is whelping. When the whelping should, how do I know my bitch is approaching whelping? So, the signs of approaching parturition, we call whelping as a parturition in terms. So, when do I know the bitch is going to whelp? So, the signs of approaching whelping or parturition include classical signs are nesting, scratching the ground, heavy panting is seen. But the most important sign is 24 hours before the parturition, the temperature drops below 99 degrees centigrade. So most of the time, my advice to breeders is to start taking temperature from day 59. And when the temperature starts falling and falls below 99, you just observe your bitch when for the signs of approaching. So these are the signs which are listed here: restlessness, panting, temperature drop, cervical seal liquefaction, which is like, the stringent discharge starts coming out from vagina. So hiding in dark places, sometimes occasional vomiting is also seen, which is completely normal. You don't have to worry about it. Now that was a stage one. The stage two is when the fetus is actually coming out. So first, the approaching signs, once the bitch is ready for the second stage, she will be resting in one corner, which she prefers. The contractions will start and the first water bag will come out. When there is first water bag, the first water bag comes out, the fetus is in cervical canal and the bitch starts with her maximum contractions. The maximum biggest efforts will start. The bitch will raise the tail. She will arch her back, go backwards. This will increase her abdominal force and reduce the space in the abdomen so that the fetuses can come out faster. So she will go backwards, reduce the abdominal space, and reach out to the water bag and give her biggest efforts when the fetal head comes out. Once the head of the second, the next slide, please. When the fetus comes out, the head comes out, the next part of the fetus slides out very easily. When the fetuses come out, they can be with intact bag or without bag. When they are with bag, the bitch, most of the time, most bitches break the bag and take out the fetus and start licking it. But some bitches are bad mothers, they will not break the bag. If they don't break the bag, you will have to interfere and open the bag. If you don't open that bag, the fetuses will die because of the fluid inside, and they will gulp the fluid in and they will get themselves drowned. So you will have to interfere immediately and open the bag and allow the fetus to come out. So when the fetuses come out, the bitch will lick them vigorously. They will start squeaking, making squeaking sound, which is necessary to clear their lungs. The licking helps in clearing their lungs. Also, the licking will, she will lick their nose, face, so that the discharges which are coming out from nose will be licked by the mother. Then she will break the placental cord by pulling at it. The when the bitch bites at the placental cord, she pulls, so the bleeding is also stopped automatically. Now, if bitch doesn't do it, you will have to interfere. You will have to massage the baby from back to forth like this and holding the head down so that the nasal discharges come out. you rub the back and the lungs of the fetus so that the fluids accumulated in lung come out. You clean the fetus with rough cloth, and that rough cloth helps in massaging the fetuses so the discharges come out. Then you go for the cutting of placenta. Many times I have seen people are hyper about cutting the placenta. Remember, placenta is dead matter, so you don't have to bother. Starting the breathing in the puppy is most important. Till the baby makes that squeaking sound, you have to keep on massaging the baby and clearing the nose. You can tie the placenta later. This is something which I've experienced on video call when the puppy is coming out and people are excited. They are looking for the cutting placenta. Please don't do that. Go for baby and making it cry. So, this I've already said that the pup should be allowed to be fed on dam immediately as soon as they are out. What happens is in first 24 hours they get this colostrum from the mother. So when they get this colostrum from the mother, they get the maximum immunity from the mother. So naturally, that is most important that they get to feed on mother immediately. This feeding on mother also stimulates certain hormones in body, which help into further processing of the well-being. Now, in dystocia, that is when to seek the help. In dystocia, that is we call dystocia, difficult birth. So, when should seek the help? Many a times when should go for help, when the beach starts with a very active contractions, and still after 1 hour the fetuses are not coming out, the fetus is not coming out, you should look for the help, because most probably the fetus is in not normal position, so that it can come out very easily. The second thing you need help to interfere is something which is known as primary uterine inertia or secondary uterine inertia. Here the bitch drops the temperature below 99. However, after certain time the temperature comes back to not able to contract. The secondary uterine inertia is seen when sometimes in between, when the litter size is more, the bitch will deliver 3 to 4 puppies, and after that she will take a long gap of few hours. If this goes beyond 3 hours, you should seek the veterinarian's help. See to it that the other puppies are having a good height. Recently, we have introduced this something known as Apgar scoring. In Apgar scoring was practiced in human practice by one lady scientist. She devised this Apgar scoring. The name Apgar is from her name. However, it is expanded as what we see in the babies is of their appearance, their pulse rate, grimace, how they are behaving. Two numbers, 0, 1, and 2 score to each, and the maximum score a fetus achieves is 14 because there are 7 criteria. And after these 7 criteria are done, we classify the babies into 3 categories: above 10, 4 to 10, and below 4. Below 4, the survivability in first 24 hours is almost zero. 4 to 10, you require more efforts to make them survive their first day of life. We are only talking about their first day of life, because Apgar scoring tells you only about first 24 hours, not beyond 24 hours. And if it is above 10, the survivability is 100% in first 24 hours. So this is what we have introduced recently. So what it tells us that puppies who are below between 4 to 10 score will require extra effort for for the survivability of fetus. So in first week, the mother will feed her babies every 2 to 3 hours. They will sleep 80% of the time. However, they are not able to maintain their body temperature. Because they are not able to maintain their body temperature, you will have to give them external light in there from there. So you'll have to give them external light source to maintain their body temperature. In second week, puppies start crawling. Their body weight usually doubles up. At the end of second week, they start opening their eyes. In third week, their external ear canal opens, so they are able to hear. They are by end of third week, they are making efforts to stand and are able to walk wobbly gaits up to certain distances. And in fourth week, by end of fourth week, they are absolutely walking normally everywhere they are running about. Okay, the importance of colostrum feeding is absolutely very important. Within first 24 hours, they should be given colostrum, because though that is the time when their stomach is able to absorb the antibodies from mother very freely. So if his mother is vaccinated properly, then they will get the immunity to survive for next few weeks till they start the vaccination. Then first 3 weeks, ideally you should be keeping them on their mother milk totally, no outside milk if the mother has sufficient milk. Fourth week, you can start introducing the weaning food slowly, small amount, one meal maybe at that time in their fourth week. In the fourth week, what you can do is simply starter food can be mashed up. I made into a paste, maybe one or two granules of the starter food. You can mix them in little warm water and just get them used to the taste of the starter food. So from fourth week onward, that is at after ending of fourth week, you can start replacing their one full meal from with the starter food and reduce mother's milk from her slowly. And by sixth week, you can actually make them completely independent from mother's milk. However, they should be going to their respective new houses after 8 weeks, because their bonding development helps it with the mother, helps them in their psychological development and making them good pets in long term. They develop that bond, and that bonding helps them into be a very good pet in their new homes rather than separating them from their mother very early from fifth week or sixth week onwards. They should be dewormed. Usually, ideally, you should be start doing their deworming their fourth week with the mother. Mother should be also dewormed in her when the puppies are 4 weeks old. That is when they are 21 days plus, around day 28. You should be deworming the puppies as well as the mother. The vaccination can start after the sixth week. Most of the breeders I have seen, they give puppy DP vaccine after the sixth week.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
Gulavne.
yes, yeah, yes, okay, yeah.
Thank you. That was a very informative webinar, and I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions. Please type in your questions in the chat box. In the meantime, we would like to thank those who have given advertisements in our Dogs Annual Magazine 2020. Um, before we get on with that, I would like to inform everyone, those who haven't read the magazine, Dr. Gulavne has written an extremely informative article in our current issue, which deals basically with all the pre-breeding screenings that need to be done before you start breeding your dog. So there's a lot of information about that as well. We'd like to thank Himalaya Pet Food, Arden Grange range of naturally hypoallergenic foods, Taj Group of pet-friendly hotels, Fit Pet Kennels in Khandala, Gunjan Farm, Hill Science Diet, Oliver Pet Care, Wagging Tails Dog Training Academy. For those of you who haven't yet picked up your copy of the Dogs Annual, you can log on to the website, INKC website, and pick up your copy. It's also available on Kindle. All members and all those who have registered their dogs with us have received their free copy. If you haven't received your copy, please get in touch with the office. For any queries on the magazine, you can email us at editor@inkc.in. Any queries, general queries to INKC can be sent to office@inkc.in.